Mo has a special ability that allows him to bring fictional book characters to life. One day, he accidentally brings to life an evil villain who begins to wreak havoc in the real world. Who will help Mo in stopping the villain from terrorizing everyone? The movie opens with Mo Folchart sitting down with his wife Reza to read a book to his daughter. When he begins reading the book called Little Red Riding Hood, a red hood is seen floating down into his garden. 12 years later, Mo is driving to an old bookshop with his daughter Maggie. Mo was also known as the Silver Tongue. Silver Tongues were people who, when reading a book out loud, would summon the characters and objects from that book into real life. When the two of them reach the store, Maggie chooses to stay outside so she can browse books, while the Silver Tongue goes inside the shop and begins searching for a book called Inkheart, which he has been searching for years. He starts hearing whispering voices inside the shop and stumbles upon a copy of Inkheart. Maggie sits down outside with a book when she comes across a marten and tries to feed it when a man interrupts her and starts talking to her. Mo goes outside and finds Maggie talking to Dustfinger. Mo takes Dustfinger aside to talk and tells Maggie to wait for him in the car. Dustfinger tells Mo that he came to Earth because of a mistake Silvertongue had made. He then asks him to read him back into the book, but Mo refuses by telling him that they no longer read out loud because it is too risky. Feeling frustrated, Dustfinger tells him that he has told Capricorn about Mo's location and that he wants Silvertongue to read books for him as well. Mo then begins to run and manages to escape along with Maggie, who had come back to search for him. Maggie questions who Dustfinger is and why they kept moving from one place to another, but Mo does not answer her and takes her to visit her great-aunt Eleanor. When they get there, it is revealed that Maggie's mother left when she was a little girl. Mo, who knows the truth about where his wife was, remains silent. Later that night, Dustfinger shows up at Eleanor's house and tells Mo that he will regret not helping him since Capricorn and his men are on their way to capture him. Meanwhile, in the other room, Capricorn and his men arrive and begin trashing Eleanor's library while they hold Maggie hostage until Mo stops fighting them and goes along with them. The two of them are then taken to Capricorn's castle, where he makes Mo read a book called The Arabian Nights. He tells them that he has another Silvertongue in his custody, but because he has a stutter, not all of the characters come out intact. When he starts reading a story called Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves, a man named Farid falls to the ground along with gold coins. They have found that once someone comes out of a book, another person goes inside the book to replace that character. Dustfinger, who had been watching this, asks Mo to read him back into the book. However, Capricorn snatches the copy of Inkheart and throws it in the fireplace. Dustfinger tries to take it out of the fireplace, but only burns his hand and watches helplessly while the book burns. He tells Dustfinger that he has no interest in going back into the book where he was a slave, when in the real world he got to rule over people and live in a castle, and that he tricked Dustfinger into revealing Mo's location. Mo, Eleanor, and Maggie were then locked in a cell. There, Mo explains to Eleanor and Maggie that he has the power to bring in and send characters back into books. There, Mo explains to Eleanor and Maggie that he has the power to bring in and send characters back into books. He tells her that as a consequence of him reading out loud, that his wife, Reza, was sent inside a book when Dustfinger was brought out. Meanwhile, Dustfinger goes back into the kitchen, where he meets a mute maid who had lost her voice when the Silvertongue with a stutter read Inkheart for Capricorn. She was being kept a slave by Capricorn. She had tried to escape several times, but was always caught. The two of them began talking to Dustfingers and asks where she will go if she ever manages to escape. She tries to communicate with him, but when Dustfinger is unable to understand her, she shows him a drawing of Mo and Maggie and informs him that they are her family and that she will go find them. Dustfinger finally figures out that she is Silvertongue's wife. He goes to the cell, but does not tell Mo that his wife is not inside a book, but that she has been trapped in Capricorn's castle on Earth. He gives Mo a copy of The Wizard of Oz. He tells him the two of them can work together to find a copy of Inkheart so that he can send Dustfinger back inside and bring his wife out. Mo then begins to read the book and summons a storm that allows them to escape when everyone is distracted by the tornado outside. Dustfinger spots Reza trying to escape as well, but does not help her when she is caught by the storm. knowing that if Mo found out his wife was here, he would not help Dustfinger look for Inkheart. All of them leave the castle and decide to go find the author of Inkheart. Eleanor decides to go back home and fix her library, while the rest of the group continues with their mission. Mo and Maggie knock on his door and ask for his help, and at first, the author does not believe him. But once he notices Dustfinger and realizes that this is the hero of his book, he is convinced and agrees to help. He searches through his attic and gives them a copy of the book's manuscript. Dustfinger asks him to send him back into the book once again, but Mo tells him that he wants to bring his wife back before he sends Dustfinger back in. Dustfinger realizes that he needs to tell Silvertongue the truth. He then tells Mo that his wife is not stuck inside a book, but is in Capricorn's castle and is being kept as a slave. He tells him that she came out of the book when another Silvertongue had read Inkheart for Capricorn. Mo furiously grabs his collar and asks him why he had lied. He tells him he knew Silvertongue would never help him if he had known his wife was here. He tells him that just like Mo misses his wife, he also longs to be back with his family. The two of them then decide to rescue Reza. Mo leaves Maggie with the author of Inkheart by telling her that it is too dangerous for her to go along with them to rescue her mother. That night, after Mo, Dustfinger, and Farid leave, Maggie begins reading The Wizard of Oz out loud. She reads about a black dog known as Toto, and suddenly a dog appears beside her. Maggie discovers that she has the same power as her father and that she is a Silvertongue as well. Just then, the writer of Inkheart shows up in her room with Capricorn's men. It is revealed that he was forced to work with Capricorn, and so when his men had shown up at the house, he had no choice but to lead them to Maggie. When he finds the dog in her room, he figures out that Maggie is also a Silvertongue. Capricorn's men then grab her, take her to his castle, and tell her that she will read Inkheart for Capricorn since they cannot find her father. There, Capricorn introduces her to her mother, who is locked in a cage, but does not let them get close to each other. He tells her that if she wants to be with her mother, she will have to read a character known as the Shadow out of Inkheart. Confused, Mary tells him that she had burned all the copies of Inkheart. Capricorn then reveals that he had kept one copy of Inkheart safe with him and takes it out of a box. When Mo and Dustfinger enter the castle to find Reza, Dustfinger gets captured and is thrown into a cell. He finds Maggie in the cell next to his. She tells him about Capricorn's plans to bring an evil character out from Inkheart. When one of Capricorn's men comes down to check on them, Dustfinger realizes that the man's weakness is any mention of death or ghosts and threatens him with bones that had been lying in the cell. He then gets his Martin to attack the man and manages to get the key from around his neck and escapes from his cell. He rushes to find Mo and informs him that Maggie is also inside the castle. He then tells Mo that Capricorn has another copy of Inkheart, and he plans on using Maggie to bring out Shadow, another villain from the book. The scene then changes back to Maggie, who is still in the cell, along with the author of Inkheart. He tells her that he is going to rewrite the book so that Maggie can read it out loud and everything will fall back into place. But before he can finish writing, Capricorn's men show up outside the cell and take Maggie with them. She is then prepared to read the book, while an audience gathers to watch Shadow come back to life. Maggie then begins to read Inkheart, and Shadow emerges out of the sky. Shadow was made up of the ashes of the people it had killed and had fiery eyes. Everyone cowers in fear, but Capricorn is overjoyed knowing that Shadow would give him the power to become stronger. Just then, the author of Inkheart hands Toto a piece of paper where he had written a different ending for the book. Toto manages to give the paper to Maggie, who starts to read from it. The author had written that Shadow begins to feel the pain of all the people it had killed and wanted to avenge their deaths. Shadow begins to scream in pain and starts attacking people. However, before Maggie can read any further, one of Capricorn's men snatches the paper away from her and destroys it. Shadow then aims for Reza, who was locked in a cage hanging above the castle, but Mo manages to save her. He then throws a pen to Maggie and tells her to finish writing the ending. Maggie begins writing on her hand that Capricorn turned to stone and Shadow was destroyed due to the pain he felt. And that is exactly what happens. She then writes that the author of Inkheart goes inside the book so he can be with the characters that he created for the rest of his life. All the creatures begin disappearing as well. But Dustfinger, who was farthest away, was not affected by the magic and remains in the real world. Knowing that Mo found his wife and he was reunited with his family, he would not read the book again. He leaves with Ferret, accepting that the two of them will remain stuck in the real world. That's when Mo chases after him and starts reading Inkheart for him. The movie ends with Dustfinger returning to his world, where he reunites with his wife. If you enjoyed this movie recap, make sure to hit the like button. And if you want to see more of these, subscribe to the channel and check out our other videos.